to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. First and foremost, we thank each and every one of you once again for the co-creation of this interaction. It is always our passion and our pleasure to interact with each and every and all of you. This transmission has been titled, "The Past, the Present, and the Future Are Within You." And we will get to that in a moment. But let us give a brief recap about the concept of time. First and foremost, you have now for many years been talking about the idea that time is an illusion, and it is. In that sense, it isn't quote-unquote real, but it is real as an experience. And you create it with your consciousness in a very specific way. As many of you are beginning to realize, there are an infinite number of probable realities that, in a sense, overlap all at once, simultaneously, coexisting with what you consider your reality to be. And the idea is that time is a side effect created by shifting the focus of your consciousness through different parallel reality frameworks, literally billions of times per second. It's like your movie projector is your consciousness, focusing through different frames on a so-called film strip of reality. And as you illuminate frame by frame by frame by frame, you create this illusion, this projection of time and space and movement and change. Each and every frame has no movement in and of itself, no experience in and of itself. So you have to create the idea of continuity, one frame after another in linear terms, to create this idea, this projection, this holographic structure you call physical reality, space, time. Now, the idea of creating this is to give you a particular experience that allows you to forget that you are a greater being, and then go through a process of remembering that you are a greater being, but from a new point of view, a new discovery, a new perspective of yourself. This is how creation expands, because you see, the structure of existence never changes. What changes, what expands creation, is your relationship to, your reflection of, your perspective of, and your experience of that structure that never changes. So by creating these different perspectives, these different points of view of the same structure, you continue to expand creation, and all that is can experience itself in all the ways that it's possible to experience itself through each and every one of your unique viewpoints, being reflections of all that is. But the idea now is that for many millennia, you have been dealing with this concept of time in certain ways, but now it's time to start dealing with time in a different way. First and foremost, by even knowing and understanding that it is your projection, that it is a side effect of your consciousness, shifting these billions of times per second, the product of knowing that, the product of becoming aware that you're already shifting that quickly, is what creates this sensation you call acceleration. It's not that you actually accelerate or shift any faster than you have always been shifting. It's that by becoming more aware of the rate of shift, you experience it as a reflection in your physical reality more and more and more, and it appears as if your reality is actually accelerating. This expands your senses so that you can see more, feel more, be in touch with more things from a broader perspective, a higher point of view. And it allows you to experience physical reality as more flexible, more malleable, more plastic, where you can experience things like synchronicity more often, and other kinds of side effects of space and time that allow you to know that it is your projection, that it is your creation, and you can begin to have more conscious awareness of how to use it artistically to your advantage. The idea now, as we titled this, is that you have for a long time been anchored to this concept of the past creating your present. And as we have said many times, this is not actually true. It may be a description of the kind of experience you're having, but there's a big difference between a description of an experience from your space-time point of view and a description of the actual mechanism underlying the experience. two very different things very often. So the idea that you experience in space-time is that your past generates your present. In truth, your present generates your past. Because there is only now. There is only here. This is the only place you exist. It is the only place you create from. Therefore, when you define who and what you are in this present experience of yourself, by changing yourself literally into a different person every moment, and I mean this literally, it's not a metaphor, every moment, any change, total and complete change, you are a different person literally, on a different version of Earth literally, in a different multiverse literally. Therefore, every single time you change yourself, by whatever amount or degree, in whatever way, you are truly a new person. So in working through the idea of the framework of space-time, to make it make sense, logically, as you say, you have to have, linearly speaking, a new past that determines how you became the person you are now in the present that's different. So every single time you become a different person, that different person has a new past. Now, the idea may not seem to be that. You may go, well, I remember being this, and I remember being that, and that doesn't seem to have changed. But the point is, you don't actually know whether it's changed or not. Because when you become a new person and create a new past, it's going to seem from your present perspective that you always had that past, because that's the only past that makes sense for the person you are now. You don't know how many pasts you may have had in this life you call a single lifetime. The idea is that your history is constantly dynamically changing. When you understand that's how it works, when you understand that that's a description of the actual underlying mechanism at work, then regardless of what the experience appears to be, you will start to realize that you are changing your past every moment that you change yourself by any degree of definition. And that means you are free, truly, to experience whatever you prefer to experience, unlocking yourself from the idea of anything in the past that controls you in the present, which it doesn't. You simply create the illusion of continuity that in the present recreates the idea of the so-called memory. But the memory is not of the past. You're recreating that memory in the present as part of the definition of your present self. So if you break continuity and stop defining yourself that way, you actually will experience the results of having a different past, because it will show you that you have a completely different present that has nothing at all to do with what the past used to be for whoever that other person was that is no longer you. Is this making some sense? We understand that sometimes these higher dimensional concepts can seem a little bit challenging, a little bit confusing, but don't worry, you'll get used to it. The idea is that you are beginning to think multidimensionally, and this is why we share multidimensional perspectives with you, because it stretches your ability to really experience yourself as a multidimensional being, which is what you are. Please remember that the idea is your greater self is your natural state. You are not really naturally physical people. You are greater non-physical entities, non-physical consciousness. You never really actually leave what we'll call the spirit realm. You have never left it. You're there right now, dreaming that you're not. That's what physical reality is. A dream you are having in spirit that you're no longer in spirit. So when you wake up from the physical dream, you go, oh, that was just a dream. This is who I really am. Much in the same way when you are physical and wake up from a dream, no matter how real the dream seemed in your sleep time, you wake up and go, oh, that was just a dream. Very real dream, but that was just a dream, and this is who I really am. The same thing will happen when you transition into spirit. Oh, that was just a dream. This is who I really am, but I can learn from that dream. What is it I went there to learn? What is it I dreamt I needed to know? That's what you will do. But continuing on with the idea of how you use space and time in a new way, in this new understanding, is that, as we have said, for a long time, you anchored yourself into this concept of the past. But now, as you transition and you start living more in the present, you begin to realize that you are free to choose where the so-called influence actually comes from. If you want to create this concept of continuity and being influenced by something, you can switch the idea of being influenced from your so-called past to starting to be influenced from your so-called future self. Because even in this life, you have future selves every moment. Now you are here, now you are here, now you are here. But this here was the future of that first now you are here. So the idea is that every moment as you're shifting again billions of times per second, you can begin to shift your focus forward, so to speak, still living in the present, but understanding that you're now drawing information, energy, and experience, not so much from the past anymore, unless it serves you to do so, but now from the future you, who is urging you and encouraging you forward and forward and forward into your higher self, into the self you prefer to be. And as this switch occurs, and as this focus shifts, you will begin to feel more communication from the higher mind, more synchronicity in your life, because you know that the future you, or what you deem to be the future you, is living that way. And so as that becomes more real for you, as you in the future become more real to you in the present, in the same way that the you in the so-called past has been real for you for so long, as you shift that focus to the future you and that becomes more real, you will gain more insight. You will be able to be and mirror that version of you more and more easily, more and more effortlessly, and you will start living the life in the present of what you deem the future to be. Is this making some sense? So you are shifting your focus now because, again, as we say, the so-called past and the present and the future all exist within you. There is no out there. It is a reflection, just like a mirror in your reality. If you're looking in a mirror and you see your reflection frowning, you don't go over to the mirror and shout at it to change the reflection. The only way the mirror will be able to smile at you is if you smile first. If you are waiting for the outer reality to change to make a difference in your life, you will wait forever. But when you decide to change, no matter what's going on around you in the reflection, that is proof of true change, because you're not making your change conditional on what's going on in the outer reflection. You're saying that doesn't really matter to me, because I know that I can allow anything to serve me in a positive way. I am not basing my state of being on the old-fashioned, outdated meanings that others have given to what's going on in this reality. I get to decide what this means. I get to decide what the definitions are that work for me, because I am my own reality. I am my own unique point of view, and I get to say what goes. So the idea is for you to start relaxing the old definitions and realize at any given moment what definitions you are applying to things that don't work for you, and start applying definitions that do. Because as you have experienced, existence is going to support you no matter what you choose. It doesn't really contradict you. It can't. Again, in the same way that the mirror can't contradict you for whatever your facial expression is. It has to give you back what it is you're giving off. That's simply the way it's structured. So if it has supported you when you're frowning and given you negative synchronicity, why wouldn't it support you when you decide to smile and get positive synchronicity? It will not contradict you. It absolutely will not, because it's waiting for you to determine who you are, what state of being you prefer, so it can reflect that to you. It doesn't care what you choose, because it's unconditionally supportive. That's what unconditional means. You are so unconditionally supported, in fact, you are even allowed to believe that you are not unconditionally supported. That's how unconditionally supported you are. So if you can believe that you are not unconditionally supported, you're not going to be contradicted when you start to believe that you are supported unconditionally. It's just that you have the control. So allow yourself to take the time to explore the idea of connecting more to your own future self in this life, knowing that your future self is already experiencing simultaneously the kinds of things that you prefer to experience in your life now, in the present, so that you can act more like that version of you and become more like that version of you in the new presents that keep coming as you flow your projector light through the present frame, present frame, present frame, present frame. And by acting on your passion and staying in your center and staying in the positive state and extracting the benefit from whatever is happening, then you navigate yourself through all the frames that are more and more and more and more indicative and reflective of that reality you say you prefer to experience, because you're the one creating that within yourself. It's not coming from outside, it's coming from within you. One final very important thing is that to remember, it doesn't matter what happens. It matters what you do with what happens. That's what makes the difference in your reality. It makes all the difference in the world. Does that make sense? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to share this idea. Let it sink in its own good time. Make it your own. Use it how you will. And have fun with it. Remember, the first step toward enlightenment is to lighten up. Don't take things so seriously. Have some fun. It's a process. Life is a process, but it can be an energizing, exciting, ecstatic, synchronistic one if you allow it to be. Each and every one of you has a current in the ocean of creation that is unique to you. Going with the flow means you allow yourself to know that the current knows where you need to go. Go with that flow. Don't resist. Don't swim upstream. Unless, of course, you enjoy pain. The idea is to know that surrender is not surrendering control. Surrender is surrendering to the control that's already innately built into you. Allow it to express itself through synchronicity, through imagination, through being here and now, which is all there is. In return for the gift that you are allowing our civilization to experience in each and every one of you, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and dialogue, if you wish.
So, are you ready? Okay.
Divided the UFO community, I guess. Many people believe that abductions occur, many people believe that they don't. Can you explain to me whether or not abduction is happening and whether or not it's malevolent, or I guess why? What is the interest in human beings?
All right, this is a long story. They are happening. It is not malevolent, though it may not contain the emotional component that most humans require for comfort. The analogy might be, on a simple level, that if you know a child needs to see a doctor, but they are afraid, but you know it's for their benefit, then they will be taken anyway, regardless of how they feel. The idea here is to understand that there is something very large going on. It involves humanity, and it involves humanity from a parallel reality. The beings that you refer to, in general, that are most often associated with the so-called detainment or abduction or contact phenomena, this idea is that they are mutated humans from a parallel version of Earth. They destroyed their version of Earth. They needed to mutate themselves in order to thrive to a certain point, but use their advanced technology to shift into parallel realities such as yours, where they would find viable human DNA that would allow them to perpetuate their civilization, because the destruction of their world had caused them to have the inability to reproduce, and they were dying out.
Right.
Because of the mutation, they appear to you to be extraterrestrial. They are not. They are simply humans from another parallel version of Earth. that have come to your version of Earth and other versions of Earth to gather human DNA to create hybrid species, such as my own civilization, in order to perpetuate their culture and survive. In return, as a gift, for the gift you have given them and us for our existence, we assist you by giving you information that ideally would prevent your culture from going down the same destructive path that their culture went down, so that you don't have to experience the same thing that they did. That is the short version of the story.
That's a lot. And so, but abductions are still happening now. I mean,
not so much, although some do still continue, but that agenda has gone into a different phase of acclimation. So now the hybrids that have been created are temporarily, from time to time, brought to Earth in secret, allowed to learn what human society is all about, so they can learn to adapt, for eventually they will come to live among you when you are ready for it and they are ready for it. But for now, they are being trained to understand the differences between your human society and their society. They are now raised mostly on ships, but many humans in what you call dream time, or asleep or awake, are brought aboard the ships, either physically or altered in a physical reality that is slightly off from yours, to teach the children, instruct the children, to allow them to learn to interact, to teach them the ways of Earth, as they also teach those humans the ways of the hybrid children that will eventually come to live among you. This is all part of the agenda of the evolution of humanity into what we call the sixth hybrid race.
The sixth hybrid race.
We are the third hybrid race. There are two before us, and there are two after us, forming 5 hybrid races. Humanity on Earth is evolving into the sixth hybrid race as a part of its natural evolution, its natural ability to raise its frequency, its vibration, and become part of the galactic family in earnest.
But do we have enough time? Because, I mean, we've really ballsed up this planet. We've made a lot of mistakes, and I mean, like, is it going to be a rapid transition between the 4th, the 5th, to the 6th?
There is something that we must explain to you about the idea of time and the idea of the Earth that you are now experiencing. Many people are of the idea that you change the planet you're on. You don't. The planet you're on never changes. You change yourself, your frequency, and you shift to another parallel version of Earth that is already more representative and reflective of the change in frequency you made within yourself. You're doing this constantly without even knowing it. We are shifting all right now, billions, literally billions of times per second. What scientists on your planet have called the idea of Planck time is the so-called tick of the clock of physical reality. You are shifting 10 to the 43rd power every second to different parallel versions of Earth, but doing it so smoothly you think you're on the same Earth you were on a moment ago. You are not. So the idea is to navigate this shifting by raising your frequency, by becoming more expanded in your awareness, so that you're constantly shifting yourself in the direction of more and more versions of Earth that are more like the versions you prefer to experience. Not everyone on your planet will do that. Some of them will go to alternate versions. Right now, you can still perceive each other because you still have the ability and free will to choose among all the different pathways that people on your planet are choosing. Positive, negative, neutral, what have you. But eventually, as you keep choosing in the direction of your preference, in the years to come, you will no longer be capable of perceiving the people that have chosen diametrically opposing paths, or ones that are simply no longer vibrationally compatible with what you prefer. And the only world you will experience will be the world where only the similar vibrations to your own will be able to be experienced by you, and similar vibrations to the other paths will be able to be experienced by them, but you will never meet in physical reality in that way again. You will meet in spirit, but not in physical reality, because you will have chosen different versions of parallel realities to play out the Earth game. So,
Yep.
to more specifically address your idea, yes, there is time for those that choose to take the actions, the physical actions on your planet that would be representative of the kind of world that you choose, that you prefer to experience. So taking those actions is of paramount importance to represent, to show through physical actions, which is the language of physical reality, what kind of a world you do wish to shift to more and more and more. And therefore there is always enough time if those people taking those actions will take them when they truly are moved to take them. They will then have enough time because they will create the time in the new world. They will create a shifting scenario that will bring with it enough time. Those that don't choose to take those actions will run out of the perceived idea of time and will experience possible devastations, similar to what the Greys experienced before they mutated.
Okay. So first contact is coming. I believe that
First contact is happening.
First, well, it's
That's
happening
why
right
you're
now.
talking with us.
Oh, that's happening right now. I mean, first contact on a mass scale where all of humanity is made aware that there are extraterrestrials.
All of humanity who shifts to the version of Earth that is open to the idea of contact. Those that do not shift there will not experience it.
When would this occur for those people?
The highest probability that we sense in the energy, the collective energy, at this point, is that there may be a large contact event sometime around the end of your year of 2026 or the beginning of your year of 2027. This does not mean that open contact will occur everywhere at once. But we sense in your energy that there will be certain circumstances and situations on your planet that will bring about a requirement that some form of contact event will occur around that time and be relatively evident to most individuals on your planet.
So
this will change the mindset of your world sufficiently so that those choosing to accelerate in a more positive direction toward the idea of more open contact can do so, and the others may decide for themselves what they wish to do in relation to that event.
So a lot of people will watch this interview, and a lot of people will want to know what can they do so that they can evolve alongside us to be part of that collective in 2026.
This is where we give you the information that we refer to as the formula, the instruction manual, or the cosmic compass, for it is literally a boiled down depiction, a boiled down description of how physical reality is created by your consciousness. And knowing this consciously is like following an instruction manual that will allow you more conscious control over the direction in which you navigate. The formula, as you say, in a nutshell, though we're not completely certain why you always stuff these things into nutshells, is, number one, to act on your highest passion every moment that you can. Number two, act on it for as long as you can, to the best of your ability, until you can act on it no further, at which point look around for the next thing that you are capable of acting on that represents the highest form of excitement or passion in your life. Number three, to act on that passion with absolutely zero assumption or insistence on what the outcome should look like, because the truth is you have no idea what the ideal outcome actually needs to look like. Number four, remain in a positive state no matter what manifests, even if it's something you don't prefer, because if you remain in a positive state, you will always be able to use whatever manifests, even if it's not something you prefer, to your benefit, because staying in the positive state will allow you to see and be inspired by what has happened in a way that will take you in a positive direction. Right. Number five, finally, examine your belief systems and let go of the negative and fear-based ones and the definitions that don't work for you, because you are the creator of your reality. Now, why is it important to act on your passion? Many people have said this kind of phrase in your reality, but not many have explained why that works and why it's important. People on your planet say, yes, follow your dreams, act on your bliss, follow your passion. But why? It works like this. You have a physical mind as a physical being, but you also have a non-physical higher mind as a spirit. These two things exist simultaneously. In fact, spirit is your natural state. This physical reality, in a sense, is just a dream that your spirit is having. So when you bifurcate the idea of your consciousness into a non-physical higher mind, higher frequency that is, and a physical mind of slightly lower frequency, you need the higher mind to guide you. It's like having someone standing on a mountaintop guiding you through a valley. They can see what the pitfalls are and can tell you, turn left, turn right, don't go there, you'll fall down a hole. The physical mind needs to pay attention to this in order to be guided properly. But the physical mind has free will and can ignore this guidance if it so chooses, to its own detriment usually. But the idea is that the higher mind communicates in energy. It doesn't use words. It may use pictures, images, and energy. The way the physical body and the physical mind interprets a message from the higher mind that comes to you in energy is through the sensation you call passion, excitement, creativity, love. So when you act on your highest passion, on the circumstances and situations and opportunities that present themselves to you synchronistically in life that contain more excitement than any other option at that moment, you are actually paying attention to the higher mind saying, this is you. This is the next step on your path. This is the guidance that you're asking for. This is your sign. And therefore, when you act on it, you are responding to the higher mind, saying, all right, I heard you. I am willing to understand this is the guidance you are giving me. And when you do that and are willing to act, because again, action is the language of physical reality, not words, not thoughts, actions. When you are willing to act on that passion, you have told the higher mind you are willing to listen to it, and the higher mind can then send you more opportunities that contain passion and excitement and creativity for you to act on. But if you're not willing to act on what the higher mind has already sent you, why should it send you more opportunities that contain excitement? Because you're not going to act on them. So you have to start the ball and the dialogue rolling by being willing to trust that that is the guidance coming from your higher mind to tell you exactly what the next step in your life is. And we understand that for many humans, this may be confusing and difficult because it may seem that what excites you has absolutely nothing at all to do with the things that can support you in life or what it was you were doing a moment ago.
Right.
But it is the excitement that is the connective thread that lets you know it is connected, even if your physical mind can't figure out how it's connected. You have to trust that the path of excitement is the thread to follow, that is the true path for you and representative of the true core vibration of your being.
Wow.
And remember, this is not a philosophy. This is literally a description, like an instruction manual, for how reality is created as an experience in physical reality. So the idea is, if you have an instruction manual to build a piece of machinery, you follow the instructions. If you don't follow the instructions, well, maybe the machine will work and maybe it won't work to your advantage, or maybe you will injure yourself if it does work at all. But by following this, and again, this is not an insistence. You can do whatever you wish. You have free will. You don't have to pay attention to us. This works for us. We know it can work for you because it has worked for many people in your society, just as it works for us. Our society operates on pure synchronism. We are always at the right place at the right time, being exactly who we need to be, being of assistance to those around us exactly when they need us to be. This can happen on your world as well. Following the instructions is simply a way of understanding we are literally describing the structure of existence and how it operates. So if you follow it, you will find that reality will reflect to your advantage a very smooth and effortless path through life that is joyful, creative, constructive. Of course you will have challenges. That's how you grow. But challenges don't mean you have to struggle or suffer in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you.
I had nothing to do with it, but you're welcome.